You know, if you think those massive, stadium-shaking tournament arcs in modern anime, or those high-stakes superhero clashes at the movie theater are some kind of new invention, well, you're in for a real surprise. Today, we're diving into an ancient text that literally laid the blueprint for all of those epic spectacles. We're stepping right into an ancient martial arts exhibition. Think of it like a grand arena where the absolute greatest warriors of an era are just showing off their deadliest skills. The stakes, incredibly high. The rivalries, bitter. And the crowd, the crowd is absolutely electric. It really just goes to show how wildly sophisticated ancient storytelling was when it comes to building hype and establishing that nail-biting tension. So let's just set the scene and walk right into the middle of this roaring ancient stadium. Now, just picture the sheer chaotic roar of the arena. We're dropping right into the middle of a massive showdown, and this crowd is deeply, deeply divided. They are passionately screaming for their favorites. On one side of the stadium, you've got this deafening chant echoing out, "Behold the heroic king of the Kurus," and then completely trying to drown them out from the other side is this roaring counter chant, "Behold Bhima." It's an absolute frenzy. The text actually tells us that because of the partiality swaying their affections, the spectators are split right down the middle into two highly aggressive parties. It's kind of like the most intense sports rivalry in history, but, with heavily armed warriors who could literally level a city. And notice how that massive political and physical tension maps out right there on the arena floor. You've got Bhima on one side and Duryodhana, the Kuru king, on the other. And they aren't just standing around, nope. They have their massive maces uplifted, ready to go. The source material brilliantly describes these two combatants as looking like two swollen oceans, agitated by the winds that blow at the universal dissolution. I mean, just think about that imagery for a second. Two massive bodies of water swelling and crashing into each other. The whole place has basically become this troubled ocean of screaming fans and lethal intent. In fact, it's so intense that it actually takes the preceptor's son, Aswatthaman, stepping in to physically restrain these mighty warriors, just so the entire assembly doesn't erupt into a full-blown riot. So here's the question. How do you control a crowd that's literally on the verge of a riot? Well, you bring out the main event. The preceptor of these princes, a legendary figure named Drona, physically walks out into the yard of the arena. And he doesn't just, politely ask for quiet. He completely commands the musicians to cut the music. Boom, he stops the show. Then projecting with a voice that the text describes as being as deep as the clouds, he completely redirects every single eye in that stadium. He introduces a warrior that he calls dearer to him than his own son, Partha, the master of all arms, the son of the god Indra himself. He completely resets the stage for the true star of the showcase. And let me tell you, Partha, who is also known as Arjuna, doesn't just walk out. He makes an entrance. He steps out, equipped with a finger protector like a gauntlet, a full quiver of shafts, his bow firmly in hand, and donning this incredible golden mail armor. And the lighting the text uses here, it is breathtaking. He appears in the lists looking like an evening cloud reflecting the rays of the setting sun, illuminated by the vibrant hues of a rainbow and these sharp, terrifying flashes of lightning. This ancient narrative perfectly understands the power of a flashy, awe-inspiring debut. The guy looks like a literal force of nature wrapped in gold. As he steps out, the energy just builds and builds, and the crowd goes absolutely wild. Conchas are blowing from every single direction, instruments are blasting, and the spectators just erupt, screaming his titles in this rapid-fire frenzy. Just imagine the deafening roar as they chant for the graceful son of Kunti, the middle Pandava, the son of mighty Indra. They're calling him the protector of the Kurus and the foremost of those versed in arms. For just a moment, every single faction in that arena is completely unified in their awe of this one man. But right in the middle of all this deafening noise, the story gives us this incredible, intimate detail that really grounds the massive scale of the uproar. While the whole stadium is literally shaking with the blasts of conchs and roaring spectators, we suddenly zoom in on Arjuna's mother, Kunti. Hearing all of these incredible exclamations praising her son, she is just completely overcome with emotion. She starts shedding tears of profound joy, and the text actually notes that these tears mix with the milk of her breast, wetting her bosom. It is such a beautifully quiet, powerfully maternal moment of pride, perfectly juxtaposed against the loud, aggressive environment all around her. Now, the energy in this arena is so intense that you don't even need to be able to see to understand exactly what's happening. The blind King Dhritarashtra is sitting up there in the stands, and he can literally feel the sheer physical vibration of the crowd's excitement. He turns to his advisor, Vidura, and asks what this great uproar is all about, comparing the sudden heaven-rending noise to a troubled ocean. And when Vidura explains that it's because Faguna, which is yet another name for Arjuna, has entered the lists clad in mail, the blind king is just completely overwhelmed with relief and joy. He declares himself blessed, favored, and protected. I mean, just his mere presence brings total security to the king. Okay, let's dive into this incredible ancient magic system, because it is basically like looking at a modern video game skill tree. When the crowd finally quiets down, Arjuna begins to dynamically manipulate reality itself. With the Agnya weapon, he conjures actual fire right out of thin air. With the Varuna, he brings crashing water. He summons howling air, thick clouds, and get this, he even brings solid land and mountains into being right there inside the arena. And then, just as quickly as he creates this entire landscape, he uses the Antardana weapon to make all of it instantly disappear. It's wild. He is literally bending the very elements right in front of a completely stunned audience. But wait, it's not just elemental magic. He also possesses this insane, supernatural agility. The text says that one moment he appears tall, and then the very next moment he appears short. In the literal blink of an eye, he moves from the yoke of his chariot right to the car itself, and then suddenly he's standing firmly on the ground. It's this unparalleled display of peak physical mastery and magical prowess. You just have to imagine the audience's heads snapping back and forth, desperately trying to keep track of a warrior whose movements completely defy expectation. 5. That is the exact number of arrows Arjuna lets fly simultaneously in an absolute display of peak focus and dexterity. He sets up a moving target, this iron boar, and with a single draw of his bowstring, in one fluid, impossibly fast motion, he shoots. And not only do they fly at the exact same time, but all 5 shafts go straight into the mouth of that violently moving iron boar. It is a completely jaw-dropping display of precision. And hey, if 5 wasn't enough to secure his legend, try 21. He takes a cow's horn, hangs it up on a rope, and sets it violently swaying back and forth. And into the tiny, moving hollow of that furiously swinging horn, this hero flawlessly discharges 1 and 20 arrows. 21 arrows right into his swinging hollow target. He then walks over the lists in circles, displaying this profound skill with the sword, the bow, and the mace. I mean, no one can touch him. He is undeniably the absolute master of the arena. And then, well, the exhibition well-nigh ends. The intense excitement of the spectators finally starts to cool down. The sounds of all those musical instruments slowly die out. The whole event is just winding down peacefully. Until a sudden, terrifying noise rips right through the silence from the main gate. It is the thunderous slapping of arms. It's this primal, highly aggressive sound that the text says betokens incredible might and strength. It rings out like the actual roar of thunder. Literally, just as everyone thought this grand spectacle was over, an unexpected and massive disruption completely shatters the peace. The frightened, awestruck multitude just completely stops in their tracks, their hearts absolutely pounding. The dramatic tension dials up to the absolute maximum as they wonder, are the mountains splitting, or is the earth itself rending asunder, or is the Wilkin resounding with the roar of gathering clouds? The sheer acoustic force of this one single person slapping their arms at the gate is so immensely powerful that the crowd genuinely believes a catastrophic natural disaster is occurring right on top of them. Every single spectator simultaneously turns their eyes in sheer dread and intense curiosity directly toward that main gate. And the massive factions down in the arena, they don't just stand around looking confused. No, they instantly group up in extreme haste, prepping for an all-out war. Drona immediately surrounds himself with Arjuna and his 4 brothers, standing united like the moon in conjunction with the 5-starred constellation Hasta. And directly opposing them, Duryodhana stands right up with his mace in hand, rapidly surrounded by his century of haughty brothers and Aswatthaman. They look like a celestial host encircled for an ancient battle against demons. The battle lines are instantly, violently drawn right there on the arena floor. So, we are left with the ultimate cliffhanger. Think about it. Arjuna has just proven himself to be practically a god among men. He flawlessly wove elemental magic, unmatched agility, and perfect archery into an exhibition that literally brought an entire kingdom to its feet. He was the undisputed master of the arena. Yet, a single, thunderous sound at the gate instantly paralyzed that exact same crowd with fear and forced 2 massive royal armies into immediate, tense battle formations. So whose power was possibly great enough to interrupt Arjuna's legendary showcase? Who just arrived at that gate? Well, that is a question that completely redefines the landscape of this epic, and it's one that should leave you absolutely desperate to dig into what happens next in our explainer.